Hey guys, welcome back to Cards and Comics, and today I've got my 1 year anniversary video, and I'm going to give an update on the channel. I'm going to talk about some improvements I'm going to make. I'm going to talk about kind of where I'm at and what I think about YouTube experience, the hobby itself, and I've got a mail day here to go over with you why I do it, so you have some new stuff to look at. And I'll give my 2 cents on the Fanatics thing, like you really want it, but I'll give it anyway. And kind of just, how I think the next 6 months or a year is going to be for me in the hobby, because in all honesty, we can tell each other, okay, you should do this, you should do that, but I just do whatever is right for me, and I just want to, show how I collect. And so we'll start from there. So 1 year anniversary. I have about 285 followers. I think it's been getting better in terms of interaction. So going back to why I started YouTube, I moved from Indianapolis, and I had a really big, strong card community there. Indie Card Exchange was my home store, my LCS, and that's a really cool shop. I'll put a link to them because they're really awesome, and they do breaks, and but they're really cool dudes. Andy, the owner, is a good buddy of mine, and I've done a lot of good deals with him. So yeah, I did shows every month, as a dealer. So yeah, it was a really awesome experience. So when I moved to New York, I lost that connection, and I wanted to have another kind of a hobby community. So I thought, with COVID, because it happened last year during COVID, I would start, YouTube, and maybe have a similar experience as a online community versus in person, because you couldn't go out and do anything, right? And that was the idea. I'd say, in terms of connections, it's getting better. I've made some, connections in the hobby. People are commenting on my videos a lot more. If you look through my older videos, especially my mail days, I'm getting, in some cases, like 15 to 20 views, which I think is really interesting because, as I'll explain later, how I think the hobby is going to be for the next 6 months to a year for me. Back in 2020, I had some pretty amazing mail days, going back and looking at it. I remember one of them, I had a Jim Brown rookie card, SGC7, and a Fernando Tatis Sapphire rookie, all in the same break. And I remember there was one where I got a 59 Aaron 8.5 and a 55 Jackie Robinson. It's just like, just really cool. I mean, for me, those were like, amazing cards. I've never had those, and I was only able to do that because last year card prices went so far up. I was able to sell things and buy stuff I really wanted. So that's part of it. So it was disappointing to me because I thought those would have been really cool, for people to kind of interact and ask questions, or just be like, hey, it's a cool card, and I thought that was what was going to happen. And, it happened to a very small extent, and I thought, oh, wow, that's interesting. I thought that would be what people would like, and then I realized, I wasn't really advertising the channel well. I wasn't creating, thumbs, or I was trying to do it in a way that wasn't very engaging. And so I've tried to fix that. So I've learned a lot of things, editing, is tough. I don't have a professional editing software that you would consider to be normal for most YouTubers. I'm using, the Movie Maker Pro edition. That's very limited in its skills or its tools. And my cameras, I've gone to some webcams, and I've tried different things, and really my phone camera is still the best. And I am going to invest in a Canon digital camera. I've got one picked out, and so I'm going to migrate to more professional cameras and make my video quality much better. I do have some lighting, and I moved down to the man cave, and so you'll see a lot more videos from the man cave, and I'll kind of move my camera around so you can kind of see what the man cave is. I don't have it completed, in terms of everything up, but you can see my Alex Schomburg books here. You can see, I've got on the left hand here for cards, I've got kind of my Maze, kind of Manels, Ruth, kind of the big cards, and then that big mess of stuff is going to be my Pirates, Clemente, and Chief Bender stuff. You see one Bender card on the top, and then you see the Alex Schomburg books, and you see some LB Cole, and then kind of my guitar stuff, and then you see my Pac-Man machine, and there's some original artwork, a box that looks really dangerous, and then over here is a mess of stuff I'm still fixing. So yeah, again, it's a big work in progress, for what, for where I'm at right now, in terms of, getting, a space to create content, having the time to do it. I'm getting quicker at editing the videos the way I can get them out, So, just as a channel, view, you'll notice I use the same thumb as a place card inside of my video. I usually play music over the top of it, and it's just like a way for me to think about how to edit, how to put everything together to create, the puzzle pieces. And and I think that is working for me as a way to get things edited and out on time, or and I want to get 3 to 5 videos out a week. I can't do daily content. I just don't have enough stuff. Part of this that is fun for me, that's still fun, and the reason why I'm still doing it, is I get ideas for a video, and then I execute it in the best way I can. And and on that side of it, I am not happy with, some of my channel content. I'm not happy, again, with the video quality. I'm not happy with, how, I'm not scripting everything, but I'm trying to get thoughts across. But when I go back, and I've done some videos 6 times, and I still can't get through it without stumbling or getting every point I want across, even if I print out everything, or if I have slides I'm reading off of. I just miss stuff, and I go back and I'm like, oh, I should have said this. I should have said that. I meant to say this. And at some point, I just publish the video and just move on, because I'll sit there for a week just trying to create one video. So I kind of just move on, and kind of have something out there that isn't really what I intended or wanted it to be. And another thing is, I'm very uncomfortable on camera, and so a little bit about me, I almost lost my leg in an accident, or not an accident, but I got sick. I was already overweight. I'll just say I was around 275 pounds, and then when I lost my leg, or almost lost my leg, I gained about another 35 pounds, and it was really, like I was over the edge. And so I had to make some lifestyle changes, and I got down from about 200, and I started about 285, pushing 300, depending on what day I would weigh. I don't really want to know what I weighed back then. I know when I went to the doctor when I was sick, there was a point when I was over, like close to 300 pounds with all my clothes on, and that was a shocker. And that was where I felt like, okay, it's way out of control. And I got down to about a little bit like 198. So I lost close to 80 pounds, let's say. And then I gained about 20 pounds back, through COVID, through me. I was on a diet for about 2 years, and I just got tired of it. And with COVID and stress and my job, I've talked about this before, I'm a scientist, and I work in like regulatory legal affairs. And so I deal with a lot of issues that are negative, like complaints or serious issues with people. And so it's just a lot of stress at work as well. So it's kind of like the COVID issue where I work, my facility was only operating at a certain level, and my team had to be there because we have to be at the facility to do our jobs. So again, it was just the COVID issue, and I know it's excuses, and you can always say, well, you could have, kept on your diet and done all the things you should have, but it was just stressful, and I went off the diet, and I kind of just ate what I wanted for a while, and I gained like 25 pounds back, and I just don't feel comfortable on camera right now. I just hate what I look like. I hate seeing myself on camera, and so, now the good thing is I'm back on my diet, and I feel better. I feel like I'm making progress, and when I get to a weight where I'm comfortable and where I feel like I want to be on camera, I'll probably have more videos with me on camera. But it's just painful to the point where I can't sit through a video anymore with my face in it. It's highly uncomfortable for me. I just don't like it. And eventually, I think I'll be able to do that. But so I showed you my guitars, kind of a little pan shot there. Music is definitely a big part of me, and I view this kind of like music. You got to keep doing this and practicing, and you'll get it better and better and better, right? On YouTube, so I'd say that is the big key, is you got to keep doing it, editing videos and getting better and better. But one thing that is interesting about music is I had a band, and it wasn't a very serious band, but it was a band, and they all kind of moved away, and it was kind of a work band, and I don't have anyone left in the band who's still around anymore, and and that's another thing, like when you had something like go to band practice and play songs for 2 hours and have a pizza or drink a beer, and that was a way to de-stress, and that's gone. So that's stressful, like not to be able to play music with people anymore, and it's hard to find people to play music with. That's even harder than finding cards to share with people, and having people to enjoy the hobby with. Like finding bandmates is even harder when you're a 40 something individual who's trying to play heavy metal. It's not a recipe for success. But so as we go through that piece of it, so as far as channel goes in the future, and sort of how I'm looking at the hobby is, so this mail day is going to be very indicative of how I think the hobby is going to go. It's going to be heavily comic book related, because I can find comic books that I want, and I can't find a lot of cards that I want. And availability is starting to really, and pricing is starting to really bum me out. So first book here is the Superman and the Authority, Jen Bartel, black and white, virgin, or I guess not virgin, but black and white. Awesome book. I like her stuff. She's done some really amazing books on some important books, and awesome Jen Bartel. So that's the first book. Next book is and this is Peach Momoko, and I think some folks are getting peached out. She does so many variants, but here is Star Wars High Republic 6 Peach Momoko, and it's just I still like her work, and I still collect it, so I'm not going to get bummed out on her, but her prices are starting to kind of reflect a little bit of that. So you're going to see a lot of comic book content like this. And next up is another Peach Momoko book. Again, this is a Lock and Key Virgin variant, limited to 666 copies from Scorpion Comics, and they do some really cool variants. So here's the Scorpion comic, Lock and Key Sandman crossover, Peach Momoko. I wish this had Death on the cover. That would be really cool, because it's got the Raven, and it's got Dream, and it's a cool cover. So, but yeah, comics are going to be more common on my channel, because, and I know for folks who are, who don't like the comic content, I'm sorry. I just, cards are tough right now, for two reasons. One, my card collection is a little bit more mature than my comic book collection. I have a lot more of my comic or my card collection that's sort of, I call it the portfolio cards. My, Hank Aaron, Clemente, Mays, Mantles, Babe Ruth, my LeBron James autos, Mike Trout autos, Mahomes autos, Tom Brady autos, those kind of cards. I already have them. In some cases, I have multiple. So, like I don't need to go out there and get some of these cards. I could get more, but I have a few of them. And, even on my Griffey side, I've got my 93 refractor. I've got my game jersey, 98 game jersey. I've got a few of the big ones. So, I need more, but, it's not like I feel like hugely stressed to go out and, pay $10,000 for my next Griffey card, and that's the thing, it's like, I am getting to the point where with cards, to get the next piece that I need, the pricing is so hard and so high that it's going to take me a while to, save the money up. But even when I have the money, the cards aren't for sale. They're not coming through normal channels. And that's the second piece, is availability on cards. And my prediction is it's going to be harder to buy cards, because even, let's start with packs. Target's not carrying them, Walmart's not carrying them. I think when Fanatics takes over, they're going to do it through their own retail, so you got to go through them. And, if they don't do it right, it could be like sneakers, where you don't get new cards. You have to buy it secondary, through people charging whatever they want. And, this year, for example, I have only opened a few packs of products. I opened boxes and boxes last year. Like, I opened 3 boxes of Flawless last year, a case and a half. And this year, or a full case, it's 3, right? It's 2 or 3. I can't remember now. If I opened 3 of the, briefcases of Flawless last year, I opened 0 this year. I opened about 7 to 8 boxes of Select last year, football, 0 this year, 1 pack. Because it's so expensive, and you just can't justify it. I don't see that getting better, honestly, with Fanatics. I think it could get worse, honestly, because why would they pay, the amount of money they paid to make cards cheaper, to make cards, like that more available? I think it's going to be, a high roller type, clientele for those investment grade. Yeah, who cares if they print, triple play or Topps opening day type products, in the billions. I don't collect those cards. I like the higher end cards, but when they cost $10,000 a box, I can't afford them. And that gets me to the second, my third point about the future is, for the love of God, how do people have the money to make every card worth $500 to $1,000 nowadays? Like, I'm looking at these new quarterbacks, and it's like, in gold standard, every patch auto of every quarterback is $500 to $1,000, $2,000 for gold standard. I mean, for a product that is mid-tier at best. And it's like, people have lost their damn minds about the value of the cards. And I don't care if you want to say I'm out of touch. Who gives a crap? I'm telling you that Zach Wilson might be a great quarterback. The odds are that 9 out of 10 of those guys are going to fail. Like 90% of them are not going to be Hall of Famers. That's just how it goes. About 1 or 2 Hall of Famers a year. In some years there's 0. So they're not all going to be Hall of Famers, guys. And you're taking a huge risk there. And I just feel like, it's getting a little out of control. And it's pricing me out. And, I've always felt like, I've been able to stay in the game. And so with cards, it's just, I'm getting priced out, with wax, with, newer cards being just ridiculous. And then vintage is just drying up. My video on vintage card prices, it's just, some cards, aren't coming up for sale. Like a 65, Willie Mays sells 1 time in 3 months. A 61 Jim Brown, which is one of the most common Jim Brown cards out there, sells, once in 5 months. I mean, what's going on? And we know what's going on. They're going into vaults. They're going into people's collections. They're going into bigger auction houses. And, if I have to join Heritage or PWCC with the bigger fishes, the guys with millions of dollars to buy a card like a 65 Willie Mays, thank God I already have one. But to get my 60, let's say 60, I'm trying to think what year, 67 Hank Aaron, I think I need, or like my 61 Hank Aaron. Do I have to join PWCC or Heritage just to get that and have to compete with the millionaires who don't care if they're spending $2,000 on a 61 Aaron? It's going to be tough to pick up a lot of these cards. So, and so, yeah, I think, my fear is just that it becomes two tiers, without a big middle, super expensive, super cheap, and nothing else in the middle. And let's hope not. I'm hoping that they can find a way to make some value tiers. So, all right, back to the comic. As I move through this video, this is Teen Titans Annual 2. It's the first appearance of Vigilante, which is an awesome book. And I'd also point out that my speculation would be, the Garth Ennis Hitman, which the first appearance of him is not Hitman 1. It's in a different book. I'll put it on the screen for you guys. But I think that character is cooler than Vigilante. I know Vigilante is going to be in the new Peacemaker series. But, with Garth Ennis proving himself a little bit with Preacher, but with a huge, response to the boys, I could see Hitman turn into something. So, and it's a great series when you read it. It's a great series to read if you can get some trade paperbacks on it. But yeah, I really, really like, Hitman. And so people really loving Peacemaker and Vigilante, try Hitman. I think that's actually a better character and better books. All right. So next up is, what I really, when I look at comics that are cool, and sometimes it's hard to find, comics I've never had before that are kind of like, I just don't know why. This is one book that I've never even seen in the wild. I don't know why. I guess the character was never that popular, but she's always been cool, and I've never seen this book in the wild. And it's Story to Nightmare #1, which is the first appearance of Madame Xanadu, who's a big character in the Justice League Dark or the Dark DC universe. She's got ties to Zatanna, ties to Death from Sandman. So I just feel like this is a character that definitely, and this book is, I think, a 70s book, and and this is a really nice copy. When I got it in, I just did one of those eBay purchases thinking like, this thing could be, not a great book. There's a little ticks down there, not too bad, but man, this purple, where it usually sees some issues and no real spine ticks, and man, it's nice copy. I'm really impressed. The seller was very honest. And yeah, I mean, if I could ever grade a comic book again, this would definitely go for some grading. So there we go. Madame Xanadu and Doorway to Nightmare #1, first appearance. Next up are some interesting books. Books of Magic. #4, again, I've shown this book before, which is a cool death appearance on the cover there. Such a cute cover. I just really love that book. I wish I'd have known about it before I did my Speculating on Death series, but hey, what can you do? Here's a Dave Stevens cover on Xena Warrior Princess from Topps when Topps did comics. They did some interesting stuff. Really, really did. Next up is a really one of my favorite newer covers. And this guy's artwork really is hit or miss with me. That's Greg Horn. But I really like how he framed it, the colors he used, and I'm sure he traced it. Part of it, maybe. Shouldn't say that out loud, I guess, but he may have traced part of it. But anyway, it's a beautiful book. And, and again, I bought this book just because I like it. I don't know if this book's going to be worth anything. My variant collecting is very much like me buying a Snickers bar at a counter as I'm leaving a store. I just grab whatever I see that looks cool. Next book is Death. Talks about life, and this is a PSA about birth control and the proper way to use condoms. If you think about it, comic books were cooler in the 90s, man. In some ways, they would like have a hard time doing stuff like this today, just because people would just lose their goddamn mind if people talked about birth control in a comic book anymore. I mean, they show horrible stuff in a comic book, in terms of killing, but when we talk about something important like this, we just can't. So I applaud they've been doing, and this is obviously a Death cover. Not my favorite in terms of art, but she doesn't have a ton of covers again, and this was a good one. So before I get to the cards, so that's the card side of it. Cards to me I'm kind of bummed. I mean, really am. I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about the market coming back. Another thing I'm really bummed about is who's getting to be able to be the spokesman for this hobby. Like Sports Card Investor, Ken Golden, sports card nonsense guys who were featured on HBO Real Sports. I'm just disappointed that there isn't anyone out there that's a strong advocate for the collector, because I don't think any of those guys are. In fact, the sports cards nonsense guys talked about they don't care about controversies. They don't care about the trimming issues. They interviewed PWCC and basically gave him a bunch of softball questions and basically made fun of the people that were making a big deal about shilling. They talked about trimming for like a hot second and didn't even, drill down into the, into the questions. They just let them basically give non-answer answers, and that's fine. I'm not looking for hard generalism out there for some of these guys. But if you're going to go on, and the thing that made me mad was they said during the interview, we're going to get hit from our Instagram folks if we don't ask the hard questions. Okay, you didn't ask the hard questions, and you didn't follow up, and you basically laughed it off like it wasn't a big deal. And that's bullshit, I'm sorry. I like those guys normally, but that was a bullshit interview. That was not something that was good for the hobby, because you had a forum, you had them there, you could have really got some information out there, and you didn't. Yeah, these guys that want to have these forums and to bring these people on, to talk about the hobby, they care more about protecting their place in the hobby, and being the go-to. So like when a news story breaks, Tops or Fanatics in the future, or PWCC calls them, and reports and goes on their show, and they want to be that guy. They don't care about asking hard questions. They just want to be the one breaking the stories and having the interviews, and and being sponsored by those folks who have all the money. And my channel's never going to do that, because I just don't have those connections. So I can't sell out because no one cares to have me do that. So there's no opportunity to sell out. But the second thing is, like, I've been burned so much in this hobby, man. I mentioned in my cards and comics, cards versus comics video, is the biggest difference between cards and comics is, like, in cards, I feel like everyone's out to get you at some level. I mean, there's people out there trimming cards, coloring cards, making fake backs, making fake cards, making fake holders. It's just like the gamut. Fake autographs to the wazoo, like Mickey Mantle. Like, goddamn, how many fake autographs there are. It's just a lot, and to be in this hobby and be like, well, I'm going to be a card collector, means you are going to get ripped off at some point. And that's sad that we as hobbyists know this, to the point where it's just expected now. Like, I expect to get ripped off at some level. I get a card in and it's got a crease in it that hasn't been disclosed. I get a card in that has The biggest one I've been getting recently is non-refractor refractors. Like they take a picture in the light where it kind of looks like a refractor, but it's not. And then they fight you on the refunds and call you a bunch of dirty names for not knowing cards. Like, you don't know what a card is. That's a refractor. Like, no, it's freaking not a refractor. Because I collect a lot of 90s refractors that didn't say refractor on the back like they do now. Yeah, it's like, getting ripped off is part of that hobby. And I feel like with comics, as I go into my comics, next 6 months is, with cards, I just feel like I'm not going to have a lot of high dollar content. My 65 Clemente that was for my set, that was, like me saying I'm going to take all my resources and get that card so I can finish that set. But I like to typically have a broad range of stuff to get into, some Griffey cards and Jeter cards. I'm going to be getting cards like this, like this is a $3 card, but it's from a cool set, 94 Select. These inserts were not the toughest, but when I was a kid, this was an expensive set for me to open, and and you didn't get a lot of inserts, so I would have loved to pull this card back in the day. So I have it. It cost me a couple dollars, and I have that card, and you're going to see more cards like this. And not to say that people who collect cards like that are bad or good. It's just that's what's available for me to buy, and it does further my collection. And cards like this, this Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think are great cards. They are cheap right now, in my opinion, and so this 81 Kareem, I got it. I thought it was a good price, and so it's in my set, or my collection. I normally collect 70s, 50s, 60s baseball Hall of Famers, and now I'm buying 80s basketball because that's what's available, right? Here's a cool card I picked up. I thought it was just cool. It's a second year LeBron James Skybox XL. It's an 8, and so this card was $14 because it's an 8. And people care so much about the grade that cards like this just kind of slip through the cracks. And so it was cool to be able to get this card. And you see the little EXL logo there. And then next up is my cards is 73 Nolan Ryan, and you notice it's a 7. And I guarantee you 4 years ago, I never would have bought a 70s card in a 7 just because there were so many 8s available, and they were priced so reasonably that a 7 just didn't make sense. When that Elite has, these kind of cool parallels now, and obviously they're not in pro jerseys, but to me it's the best non pro jersey based rookie for me. I like it better in Prism for sure. So that's going to be sort of my cards. And for comics, I am paying a lot more attention to keys. So you saw where I'm picking up a lot of Silver Surfer. I picked up Silver Surfer 1, Silver Surfer 3. I picked up Avengers 1. And the reason why, and I know what you're going to think, is like, those are expensive books. Why not? You're saying you can't get the cards, Well, but when I look at the value differences, like, buying a 10th year Willie Mays card versus, the first appearance of Silver Surfer, I think the Silver Surfer book is actually more important. So I'd rather put my money and my resources there, and I think that's where I'm going to be doing for quite a while. And here's the last book. I almost forgot about it. It is a, it's hard to get into frame here, but it is a CGC 9.4 Spider-Man 259. It's not anything important as far as a book. I do like that it's got the little hobgoblin down here at the bottom, but I like it because it goes into my Spider-Man set, and so it was less than $50 for a 9.4 from this is from 1984, so cool to get it. And I'm again $50 for a book that goes into my collection is fun. And yeah, so it's going to be you're going to see not many of those Jim Brown videos anymore that I had in 2020. It's going to be less exciting. So, but the thing about collecting is that you keep going forward, and every card counts. Every card brings you forward, and I'm going to keep going. And the last things I got here is I picked this up, which is a Death Pop, which is awesome. I found this actually in a store at a mall. And I also picked up this, which I've got the spike, and so I was able to add the Vicious Cowboy Bebop action figure, which these are really cool figures, lots of hands and faces. So I've got the spike, now I've got the Vicious, and I want to get a Faye. Yeah, so a few toys, and again, and then I want to end, is thank anyone who's ever watched one of my videos. I will eventually do some giveaway. I just don't know how to do that. I've got to figure out the best way to do a giveaway. But yeah, I do want to say I appreciate everyone, and I hope me collecting and showing you kind of how I do it, and just having the interaction gives people like, hey, like that's a cool thing to collect, or that card is awesome, like I may want to go get one, kind of moments, versus kind of like, hey, this guy is just showing off how cool his collection is. And that's some of it, definitely, but I do want to just share my collection, and show people like what I've got, and I hope it inspires people to collect things, opens people's eyes to new things. Very passionate about my Alex Schomburg collection, and I will definitely be doing some more videos about him. And just because it's something I really love, and I want to share it. And I got a few other collections that hopefully I just shared some of my graded pack collection. I collect Magic the Gathering to some extent in a weird way, and I might show that one day. So again, more to come. And the channel's not dying. It's kind of in its best state right now that it's ever been. It's growing probably the fastest it's ever grown. And I'm getting more interaction, so that makes me happy. And I'm going to improve the content. I'm going to improve the video quality. I'm going to work on editing and get a software. And so that's all coming. And I hope you guys stick around for it. And I'll see you guys next time, and hopefully a year later from now. Bye.